So let's look at our first actual working example here for what we're trying to do. The directions, we're graphing and labeling each line. We're determining which line is the transversal. We're labeling it T, and if any lines are parallel, and then we're labeling the requested angle pairs. So let's start with the graph. Okay, line A, we have y equals 2x plus 4. Slope here would be 2 over 1, y-intercept 0, 4. I'm going to go ahead and graph. So now I'm going to graph line B. Line B has a slope of 7/4 and a y-intercept of -9. So here we go. There is line B. Finally, line C has a slope of -5 over 3 and a y-intercept of -6. So let's graph line C. Can't go down and to the right, so I'll go up and to the left. Step 2, determine which line is the transversal and label it T, and if any lines are parallel. Well, let's see. A transversal is the line that cuts through two other lines. It's the bridge that goes through the river. From what I can tell, here's our river, which means our bridge is right here in line C. So I'm actually on the other end. I'm going to go ahead and label that our transversal. And down here on the left, which line is the transversal? Line C was our transversal. Are any lines parallel? Well, the only lines that could be parallel, according to this diagram, would be A or B. And in a coordinate plane, we know lines are parallel if they have the same slope. The slope of line A is 2, and the slope of line B is 7/4. Those are not the same, meaning lines A and B are not parallel. So I'm just going to come down here and say none. We do not have any parallel lines. So now that we have our bridge going through our river, it looks like we're labeling the alternate interior angles with numbers 2 and 4, 6 and 8, and alternate exterior angles 1 and 3, 5 and 7. Okay. So let's see here. I'm going to start with the alternate interior. And I'm just going to place 2 somewhere. Let's see. I'm going to place 2 right there. That looks like a good spot for angle 2. Angle 4 would be right there. And then the next ones are angles 6 and 8. So I'll go ahead and put 6 right there and 8 right there. So we now have our alternate interior angles labeled. Okay. Up next, it says label the alternate exterior angles. So again, opposite sides of the bridge, but this time on the river bank. 1 and 3, 5 and 7. I'm going to go ahead and say this over here is angle 1. That would be this one here, angle 3. Okay. And then let's say I wanted to make the other angle on the exterior angle 5. That leaves us with 7 right there. And we're done. We've now graphed the lines, labeled the transversal, neither was parallel, and we did the alternate interior and exterior angles. So here we go. Line A, slope here, -1/2, y-intercept 0, 4. I'm going to go ahead and graph. Line B, our slope 3 over 1, our y-intercept 0, -2. I'm going to go ahead and graph line B. Last up is line C, slope -1/2, y-intercept. What is the y-intercept? Oh, that's just the same as +0. So now I'm going to graph line C. Okay, so which line is our transversal? Which of the lines is cutting through the river? That appears to be line B. So we're going to now go ahead and label this T for transversal. And then do we have any parallel lines? Well, let's see. The only 2 lines that have the potential to be parallel are lines A and C. And remember, parallel lines have the same slope. So let's see. The slope of line A is -1/2. And the slope of line C is also -1/2, so these lines are parallel. So yeah, we have line A and line C. So we're going to use our notation. We would just do a lowercase a is parallel to, and then a lowercase c. Those are our parallel lines. Okay, so now we're going to label our consecutive interior and consecutive exterior. Remember, consecutive means same side of the transversal. side by side, one after the other. So here we go. First, looking at the interior in the river, labeling 2 and 4. So I'm going to zoom in here, and let's say I decide to label this 2. That would be 4. Okay, the other pair of consecutive interior angles would be on the opposite side. So 6, and then I would label that 8. Now we'll do the consecutive exterior angles with 1 and 3, 5 and 7. So again, if I zoom in here, I'm standing on the bridge. If I decide to make that 1, would be down here, angle 3. And then if I decided to make this angle 5, this would be the consecutive angle, exterior angle 7. And there is our graph and completed activity for example 2. Just to quickly recap, remember that transversal is like a bridge going over the water, over the river. And when you're looking at alternate versus consecutive, you have to imagine yourself standing on the bridge. So alternate angles are on complete opposite sides of the transversal. If you're looking at one angle up and to the right, then the alternate angle would be back and to the left, and vice versa. Consecutive, on the other hand, is the opposite of that. It's the same side of the transversal. So if I'm standing on the bridge and I look over to my left, I'm looking at consecutive angles. And if I look over to my right, I'm looking at consecutive angles. That's it for today's lesson. I will see you next time.